you went long on a few big incumbent companies. I was wondering if there were any cases in recent years where you had gone against the grain, where companies have been hyped a lot by investors and Andreessen Horowitz has not followed that, and what the rationale was around that.
You know, a lot of our bets look like they were bets on massive incumbents with sort of no downside, but that's only after they got to an outcome. So when we invested in Skype, for instance, it came out that they did not own the intellectual property for their software, which is like, what's a software company got except it's intellectual property? And so like that looked like an extremely, extremely risky bet, even though they had a lot of users in a very loyal community. But you know, think about Skype at that time, which is, it was, you know, probably one of the most powerful companies in the ecosystem, but at the exact time when WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger and all of these alternatives for connecting people were on the rise. And so it was not an obvious bet at all on at the time. And so these things sort of are very easy in retrospect to sort of look back on and say, well, of course Instagram was a bet. But the problem was Instagram was one of 100 or 1,000 people who were going to like, hey, if you have a camera in your pocket, you probably want to share those pictures with somebody. There were literally 1,000 of these, right? And so it is, you know, classic human thing, survivorship bias, right, is what we call this formally, is to look at the companies and say, well, of course, right? Like that was obvious, but they don't look obvious at the time. And in particular, at the prices that we're paying for them, right? The valuations that were set, it's very easy to sort of say, that was classic overpaying for a company that has no revenue, or a company that has very little DAO, or DAO over MAU, or whatever, you know, name your favorite metric. So most of these things only look sort of obvious in retrospect rather than when you're making the investment, because that's sort of a white knuckled, I can't believe we're paying that valuation conversation every time.